But once again, I am Joe Archino, and now we have Andrea Molina with us, a friend of Gail Goodson, who Gail sent me a message like, Joe, are you looking for a good interview? I was like, Gail, I'm always looking for a good interview, so we've got you, and I know from talking to you, we're really excited that we could get you down here. You've put some great gets in some of these seats we've had for our programs, like Mike Duty, a big shout out to him, so thank you for that, and I'm really glad we could have you here, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now let's start, obviously, with the Marine connection. Now, obviously, the moment you came in, I saw the Marine dog tag. I was like, well, that's how I guess you know Gail. So tell us a little bit about your service and your background. Now, obviously, of course, I do want to very highlight you being the director of Vet2Vet coordinator for Westchester County.
Yes.
But first, take us kind of through your service and what it was like to be in the Marines.
Sure. So I joined the Marine Corps at the age of 26. 9/11 occurred. I took the day off. I used to work at One World Trade for a law firm called Cleary Gottlieb. And that very same day, I went over to the Fordham Road recruiting station and joined the Marine Corps. On my way, I called my brother, and he said, oh, you're not going to join any military. You'll never make it. You're such a prima donna. So I said, I'm just going to join the Marine Corps just for that, and I did. So that was September, and I left in November, at the end of November. And I served from 01 to 05, active duty, and then from 06 to 08 in the reserves. And then I was it. I tapped out. But my job in the Marine Corps was electrical engineering.
Oh boy,
We're just
wow.
talking about bad math.
I was going to say, holy cow, that's a lot of math involved in that, I'm sure.
Believe it or not, yes, I made it.
Wow.
So I was part of the engineer platoon, and we deployed to Iraq during the invasion in 03 and again in 05.
I mean, you talk about a time to be deployed. I mean, it's amazing because so many vets we've talked, it's 9/11 happened, and that was the spark for so many people because obviously the country was in danger, and so many people answered the call during that time, as did you.
Absolutely.
What was it like for you? We've talked to Gail kind of about her experiences. Again, the female Marine population at her time was about 6%. Now, like Gail told us, it's moved up to about 9%. But what was it like for you to be in such a the branch is such a physically demanding branch. It is.
Absolutely.
You've got to be tough to be a Marine. It doesn't matter. And you're a Marine, so you made it through. But what was that like for you?
So being part of engineers, it was just myself and one other female. So I grew up just having brothers. I didn't have any sisters, so I was kind of used to being around men all the time. I just fell right in. It wasn't an issue. And if you ever meet my mom, she was she prepared me for the Marine Corps, let's say.
If you could get through mom's rules, right, you could make it through the Marines rules.
Completely strict. We grew up in the restaurant business.
Okay.
So I was used to working hard 24/7 and having a very strict lifestyle, a very disciplined, strict lifestyle. I mean, we didn't have a childhood. We were always working.
Always working.
So so I fell right in. I was pretty excited. I thought it was going to be a bit more difficult. But to my surprise, I'm all right.
That's something, right? If you go, because I think you go in with the expectation, going through boot camp and everything, this is going to be hard. But, you made that background, I'm sure, helped you out. What did you say to your brother? I'm sure because he told you there's no way you can make it. You made it. Did you stick it to him?
I called him from boot camp. Because that one phone call, and there's a swarm of drill instructors. Hang up. And the first 2 seconds, I'm like, I'm okay, click. Last minute, my brother said, I'm going to join you in the Marine Corps. So when I made that phone call, I said, I'm okay, don't come down here. And he heard everyone yelling, and I hung up. He was so worried, and he ended up not joining.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow. What a story.
Yeah.
So, I think that sets up so well for the next chapter. Well, there might have been in between, but obviously right now, you being the director for Vet2Vet as the coordinator for Westchester County.
Yes.
One of the questions I always ask veterans is, what was that transition like for you after the military, going back into civilian life? Because everyone has a different experience. Some people have an easy transition. Some people have immense difficulty.
Sure.
Was your transition back into the civilian world difficult?
It was extremely difficult. It took me about 10 years to make my way to the VA and get help. I made friends with this gentleman. He's a former Green Beret, and he was my mentor. And had I not had him, you and I would not have the conversation we're having right now. Eventually he moved away, and I met another gentleman, and he also was kind of like my peer mentor type person, and that is how I worked my way to where I am today. I finally went back to school. I got my master's over in Fordham in the city, which is terrifying for me, going into the city.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but these people really pushed me. The second gentleman, he was a ranger in the Army. So these people really don't accept defeat, and they were my role models, really. So had I not had those peers around me, I don't know where I would be today. And that is why I'm so passionate about my program.
Well, what an amazing story that you have for that, because it's,
Yes.
Like you said, 10 years, it takes, from so many people I've talked to, it takes a long time.
It really does.
And I think having programs like this in place, like the one you are a part of now, and certainly for you, I'm sure you can relate. And that's got to be so important, is, you understand where people are coming from. The challenges and the conflicts of our world aren't going to stop.
Right.
So it's not like there's ever going to be a way where we can kind of take. There's always got to have these programs in place for people like that. And for you in the role you're doing today, what are some of the recommendations you have for people who maybe they come back, they don't know where to turn to first? Do you have any advice?
I always say that, some of the younger generation, the post 9/11 Iraq, Afghanistan vets, they're turned off by the American Legion, and because they say they can't relate to the veterans there. But I say you should really give the American Legion, the VFW, an opportunity. That's where you could possibly connect with someone that you may have so much in common. And who knows, down the road you might be that person welcoming someone in your predicament, right? Joining Vet2Vet. I need people for the post 9/11 era to join and participate in Vet2Vet, because there are so many other veterans that have isolated and decided not to step out, that I think to myself, man, if I had enough people, we would really change the landscape in Westchester. The majority of veterans that step out are usually Vietnam era and older. Our younger veterans are not stepping out of their comfort zone. They really aren't. And if they make the effort, I think they would really change other people's lives. And like you said, conflict never ends, right? So you still have people coming home just about, I would say, monthly at least. Make yourself available. It is also a very healing experience. If you reach out to a fellow veteran and share your experience and realize that you're not an outlier within a community, you are going to begin to heal yourself. Because I have to tell you, in the past 6 years that I've done this program, that I've worked this program, I started volunteering, now I'm a director. I have really come to a place where I could talk about just about anything. I also encourage women that have served, that don't consider themselves veterans, to step out. I know what it's like to work into an American Legion and someone look at you up and down and ask you what you're doing there. Get over that. Get over that. Set the pace. There are other women that could use you to get out of their shell. So, really.
It's so important, everything you just said. I mean, you saw what having those people in your life, how they helped you get
Indeed.
to where you are. And that's something I've heard so much is, it seems like the generation you were talking about who were served in Iraq after 9/11,
Sure.
they are very hesitant, some guys, to come out and step up, whether male or female.
Right.
And do you think maybe it's a part? Is there a reason you think that might be? Is there anything we can do to help make them more open to coming out, or is
Sure.
have you seen improvement in that? Anything? I know I've thrown a lot at you right there, but.
Yeah, I feel like there is improvement. People are beginning to educate themselves. They're not looking to HBO or movies to get their information. They're actually reading, and there are many more articles on transitioning out and the experience in country, right? I feel that's educating the general public, that have made conversations easier with civilians, right? The fear of judgment, the fear of our shame, that's another issue. Feeling shame, feeling like you don't want to be judged. Those are the things that held me back, and hold a lot of people back, right? Some people are worried that if they mention they were in Iraq, but they were admins and they never saw, real combat, how are they going to be looked at? Will their service be minimized, right? Those are things that people think about and prefer not to talk and not even say I served, right? So
wow, that does break my heart, because I always whether you were on the front line or you're serving whatever capacity you serve in, you've contributed, you put yourself out there, you've given something to our country that so many other people haven't. So it does break my heart that some people wouldn't want to do that, but that's why programs like Vet2Vet are so important. Why I'm so glad we have you on here to help give you, hopefully, like we were saying, if one person is listening right now or they see this interview, it could help you tremendously, and what you're doing is so important. But you said you started out as a volunteer, you moved your way up to being a director. What was that like for you? When you went in, I'm sure you already had your transition the way because you had knowledge going in, and now you're running the thing. So what was that like for you?
It was very difficult because Westchester has never had a program like ours, and I don't think that Westchester ever addressed the younger generation of veterans. I know when I came home, I had a period where I slept in my car. The programs we have today did not exist back then. So people didn't know what to make of me, right? What do you do with this woman that is completely traumatized, right? How do we find her employment if she can't find herself? How does she get back into a classroom and get the education she needs? Those issues were not being addressed. So when I stepped into this role, nothing was set up in Westchester, everywhere else except Westchester. The community here in Westchester is so giving and just so generous. I feel like if we spread word and educated more, I think we would be able to, if not surpass the services in the 5 boroughs. We're a very unique county, and we could offer those gaps. I'm still working on that. There's a saying in the Marine Corps when I was in, you're never good enough, you're a Marine. Meaning you always strive to do and surpass good to better to best to excellent. Even when you reach excellent, it's never going to be enough. So this is true.
That's a heck of a way to live your life. It really is.
Absolutely.
And I think what you said is so true. This is a community where I think everyone does want to, they want to help. And like what you were just saying right there, to have, I'm sure your case was so unique, but there is always people out there who are looking, and to have those places, those platforms in place is so important. So whatever we can do for you, you let us know. We're so happy to do it. We were talking about you told us Mike's story and how Mike kind of came, and now we've seen how Mike kind of has grown. He has his own business owner now.
Oh, he was a business owner when I met him.
When you met him too.
Yeah,
it's amazing what you can do. It really is, and I think it really speaks to what difference can make when you surround yourself with fellow veterans, and it's a community that's so close knit. And then you have people in the civilian world like me who I want to do whatever I can help too. So it's about merging the two worlds together and building that perfect thing in place. So for Vet2Vet, tell people who are listening how they can help you out, what they can do to help you.
Sure. So we have also extended our program, our peer program, to caregivers and family members because they are the foundation of veterans' lives, right? Healing, getting back together. So now we're offering the same peer services for spouses and children. Our main office is located here in White Plains. We cover the entire county. You could find us, we fall under Family Services of Westchester. So you could find our information under the Family Services of Westchester page, which is fsw.org. And then, can I give them my number?
Oh, of course.
Sure. So my direct line there is 914-358-4240. If you feel you'd like to reach out, we accept donations as well. We work closely with the VAs, the Bronx and Montrose VA. We coordinated a trip down to the wall next month for all the inpatients in the PTSD unit.
That's amazing.
A couple of the guys from the Vietnam era, like Gail had mentioned, had not seen the wall. It's a very emotional trip for a lot of us. So we work closely with them.
You know, and I've been lucky enough to interview so many Vietnam veterans, like I was telling you before, and you know, it was a time in our country where so many of our Vietnam vets, so many people took out their anger on the warrior, and the treatment they received was just it's heartbreaking the way that they were treated. But you know, from so many people I've talked to, they see now through people like you and what you're doing, that there's so much more, there's an effort to overcome what happened then. And I think for them, from talking to them, that's got to make you feel very good to know that now they might not have gotten the treatment they deserved then, but people like you are doing whatever it takes now to make sure that is overcome. But Andrea, I mean, I can't thank you enough for what you're doing, everything that you've done and you continue to do. We were talking before about maybe doing a show at your place, which I would love to do, and get you even more exposure out there, because what you're doing is so important. And we live in an area where the tools are in place. We just need to continue to connect all those lines and cross them together. So you keep on doing all the great work, and you're a part of the family on the show now.
Thank you.
No, thank you, and it's really been a pleasure. Gail hooked us up with you, and we brought in the Marines today, and it was very cool to hear your story and the challenges you went through, but where you are now. It's amazing. It really is an amazing story, and you should be so proud of everything you're doing right now.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you and your team for recognizing service.
It's what it's all about, We have a saying on the show: duty goes both ways. You guys did your part for us, and now that you're back home, it's our turn to take care of you. So we really thank you. This is just the start, I think, of a relationship with Vet2Vet. So we're really happy, and we're going to do whatever we can to help you out, because what you're doing is so important.